Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we are taking a look at Lightning Train. This was one of the hottest games at GenCon. This is from Paul Denon, who brought us CLANK and the Dune Imperium Uprising series. So he's got that deck builder background. This is a bag builder. Essentially, that's the same thing. You are drafting chips that go into a bag, and you're drafting a certain number out of that bag. They're discarded. When your bag is empty, you dump them back in. It's really just a different way to handle, your cards. But this is Lightning Train. So we'll explain here in a minute why it's called Lightning Train. You're going to see a few similarities to Ticket to Ride, mainly just the kind of visuals. The game's going to play very differently, though. I got a lot of good previews of this in at GenCon. They had a demo table going the entire time. Here you can see the map just gives you Ticket to Ride vibes. You're placing down trains of your color in between stations. What you're not doing is trying to connect cities like in Ticket to Ride. You're basically just trying to score points intermittently by connecting, having train lines connected to these stations and transferring goods, which are going to be, a city's either going to have a station at it or a good, and you hopefully are wanting to either be controlling that station or have the rail line in between. But yeah, pretty straightforward rule set here. There's a few nuances that might be a little tricky to pick up on, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. We will be doing a how to play video of this in the future, and for those who are interested, there is a solo mode in the game. I haven't dived into this too much other than reading through the rules just a first time. The solo mode might take some time wrapping your head around it. It seems like it's definitely going to want to be something that you've played the game first before you dive into the solo mode. There's also, if you're playing just two-player, you're going to need to introduce kind of a dummy player who gets in the way. Then there's these additional components, mergers and acquisitions, that can kind of ramp up the game in complexity if that is something that you are interested in. All right. So here we have our player boards. Right now this game plays, like I said, solo, but ideally you're going to want to play 3 to 4. That's where the kind of the sweet spot is. But these are going to punch out, so your player board will not be this bland. And you see here that these are actually going to be flipped over and start this way, where you're going to have to fill them up with trains. But essentially, you're going to be drawing out your chips from your bag, and you're going to be placing them here. This is kind of like your hand. You would deal out the 5 cards from your hand, and then you would stop, except these plus signs are going to be ways for you to have a larger hand size than normal. If you draft chips that have that plus symbol on them, and you draft them and you've opened these up and then these up, you can actually end up with 9 total chips to play with during the round. Then you're going to be moving your trains, which if you have a train symbol like this is why the game is called Lightning Train. Here you'll see this symbol on many of the chips. The lightning symbol is synonymous with instant. You take that instant action. And so in this case, you would take a little train chip from your pile, and then you would spend those to do actions on your board here. These spots are to be filled with trains or to place them out on the board. That's why the game is called Lightning Train. They probably didn't have a name for the game yet, and people kept saying Lightning Train every time they gained a train. But it's almost like the train pieces are part of your economy. You're going to have money to spend, and you're going to have trains to spend. So similar to CLANK, where you have movement, attack, and spending power, this one you're going to have spending power and train economy, which does a lot of stuff here on your boards. All right, moving on, we have all of the chips. There's going to be a lot of these. This is a bag builder. This is what's going to go into your bag. You can see some of them just have simply $1. You pull this out and it's going to be $1. This one, however, has the little plus symbol on it, which is going to allow you to put it in one of those side slots and actually draw more tiles. The ones here that are just plain white are going to be your starting tiles, or tiles that are in a constant pile off to the side. The ones with these hash marks are going to be ones that are added to the market, and the hash marks is going to determine where in the market they're going to start and how much they're going to cost. But they can be shoved down the market further as more come in, so you could start off with something being expensive, like this one, for example, and then it'll, if nobody purchases it, it's going to be shoved down down the lane there. And you can see that the backs are just kind of generic like that. You're pulling out of a bag, so it doesn't matter what the backs are. You shouldn't be able to see them. They're all the same shape and size. Here we're getting into even more chips. These ones that now contain color are going to give you the ability to take actions in certain regions on the board. And when we see the board, those regions will become obvious. Here are those additional tiles. Again, I haven't dived into this additional module yet that much. One thing that I did not see or hear any discussion of, but would be interesting, is upgraded components. Right now, these are just cardboard, and I know a lot of people who do bag builders like the upgraded, acrylic tiles. This would be a lot of tiles, though. We're not talking just the trains or just, the tiles that you would add to your bag. So I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing. Direwolf certainly doesn't appear to have any means of doing that right now, but I'm sure somebody somewhere on Etsy or on like the Board Game Geek store or something like that may look into it. All right. Here we have these could be upgraded, certainly. These are going to be your the resources that are going to be placed into the cities, and then these resources have to make it to the station. The stations are going to be in a common market that you can pay to add or claim the station, and you're going to put one of your little cubes. You can see here on your player board, your cubes are going to go up here. You take them off left to right, and at certain spots you're going to get small little benefits for placing your cubes out. That'll just signify that this is your station. These would have been nice if these were little cutouts so that the cube would have sat in there, but that's neither here nor there. These dynamite sticks are part of the solo mode, which again I haven't looked too much into. Here are some locomotives. These are going to be, again, in your player color and can be earned and placed then out on the board. A few more train cars, it looks like. These are going to be, you're going to be looking for these build symbols, these crate symbols on your board in order to actually take actions on them, in your tiles to actually take actions on the board. You're going to be granted these at the beginning of the game so that you can take those actions before you've been able to purchase and upgrade your bag enough. So that's what those are going to be. And here we now finally have the board. So this board is going to be double-sided. Let's actually probably zoom out the camera a little bit for this. All right, so here we have the board. It is quite large. This is going to be a table hog just from this board alone. But you can see here, like, you would have to spend 3 trains to claim this station. It's only going to be a single resource station, which means you're just going to be able to deliver one thing to it, and then it becomes kind of useless. And this one is a bigger one. It can contain 2. Here you can see that St. Louis is always going to have the cows at it. Oklahoma City, same thing. Also, you can see here the regions. So yellow is Midwest, Rockies is going to be orange. So those colors that you see on the tiles is going to signify which of these areas on the board that you can claim. Just kind of moving the board over a little bit here, you can see that this is going to be your market row. And then there's going to be a kind of scoring track along the outside here. And then on the back side, just briefly, you can see this is the solo mode side. There's all of these dice with pip values on them. Rolling of the dice is going to determine where the solo mode goes. So you're going to be looking at these values. I don't know if there's a huge difference between this side and the other side other than these pip values, but this side is meant to just be for the solo mode. So yeah, there we go. That is the board. Zooming back into the box here, we can see that we have the cubes. These are going to go on your stations of your various player colors. Then we have these markers. One of them is going to be just your scoring marker. I'm honestly not sure what the other one is going to be for. I think actually these other ones, these smaller ones, are simply for the solo mode. Whichever player color you don't choose, the other ones are going to be on the board competing against them. Here's the lone die you'll use in solo mode. We've got some baggies here. We've got lots of bags, or no, not lots, but 4 nice, good, nice quality canvas bags. Let's see, yes, nice and deep, so not really easy to peek inside there. Plenty of room for me to get my hand in there. So there we have some bags. And then we have a few cards. Again, this is a bag builder, not a deck builder, so you're not going to see the same amount of cards that you see in a CLANK or Dune game. These are going to be adding materials to the board throughout the game. So every round you're gonna choose 15 of these, put the rest back in the box. Looks like there's a player aid for the solo mode here. But you'll flip one of these over at the beginning of every time it comes back around to the first player, and they're going to say here, add 2 steel resources to Birmingham. Here, you're going to give a steel resource to Birmingham and to Pittsburgh. Obviously, these would be shuffled up. And so as the game goes on, more and more resources to be delivered will be added to the game. We'll stick those right back in there. And then we have some of these cards here. All right, we've got some player reference cards here, 1 for each person. And let's kind of divvy these up here so we can talk about them. All right, these are going to be simply kind of action cards that you're going to be able to gain throughout, and you'll simply play these. Like this one, I believe you simply play it, and it's going to allow you to discard, get rid of, trash a tile, probably like a starter tile or something like that, from your bag. We also have a promo card floating around here somewhere, if I can track it down, that we got from GenCon. Let's see if we can find that. Here we go. Here is the, if you picked up this game at GenCon, you also got this Ghost Train action card. So we'll go ahead and add this in with the rest there. We have these, are setup cards. So this is going to tell you where to set up, initial things on the board. Here we have, these are going to be solo cards. Again, not 100% sure how these are utilized. I just know that they are for the solo mode. And then last but not least, we have these, I believe they're called mogul cards. They're going to be a mixture, and you can see more of the end game here, but you also have upgrade cards. So these are going to be in a mixed stack. You'll have the opportunity to pick these up through various actions. These are going to either upgrade your board in some way, shape, or form, upgrade your bag, or they're going to give you goals to meet throughout the game. And I believe these are like end game scoring conditions. Build mountain rail lines. So if you build 2, you get 2. 3 mountain rail lines, you get 4. These are probably going to be held. I believe you hold on to them throughout the game. And then those are really the only thing that's going to generate more points at the end of the game. Other than that, you're kind of keeping track of points throughout the game. So that's going to do it for our Lightning Train unboxing. This looks pretty straightforward. as far as storage is concerned, so I don't think a reboxing video will be necessary. I'm probably thinking putting each person's starting tiles and stuff in each of their bags, and then having a bag of just the tiles that are going to be added to the market. Plenty of room here for cards, maybe not sleeved cards. This isn't a standard deck builder, so I don't know if I'll be sleeving these. And then the board will sit on top. There's probably going to be a lot of extra room on top, so save those punch out boards after you've emptied them. You may want to be sticking them underneath this until, I'm sure there'll be expansions for this down the road, and then that'll fill up your box more, but that way things aren't just flying around inside the box. Anyways, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Like I said, we will be doing a how to play video of this on the channel, so that is to come. If you want to be notified when that hits, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And yeah, that's it for now. This was Lightning Train from Dire Wolf Games.